In 1795, a teenager named Daniel McGinnis stumbled upon a strange, circular depression in the ground on a remote Canadian island. What he found there would ignite a 200-year obsession, a hunt for buried treasure so perilous, so shrouded in mystery, that it has claimed lives, drained fortunes, and defied every modern tool used to unravel its secrets. Is the Oak Island money pit an elaborate hoax, or the resting place of history's greatest lost treasure? To this day, no one knows. But the clues and the dead bodies suggest something extraordinary lies beneath. Oak Island, a small, unassuming speck of land off the coast of Nova Scotia, seems an unlikely stage for one of history's greatest dramas. But its story begins with a discovery straight out of a pirate's tale. On that summer day in 1795, young Daniel McGinnis noticed something odd. A circular indentation in the soil, surrounded by ancient oak trees with unnatural notches carved into their trunks. To Daniel, it looked like the ground had been dug up long ago and hastily covered. He returned with two friends, and together they began to dig. Just 2 feet down, they hit a layer of flagstones. 10 feet deeper, they uncovered a platform of oak logs. At 20 feet, another platform, and at 30 feet, a slab of stone etched with cryptic symbols. This was no ordinary hole, but as they dug further, seawater began flooding the shaft. The boys abandoned their quest, but word spread. Oak Island held a secret protected by booby traps, a secret worth killing for. By 1804, the first treasure hunting syndicate arrived. They dug deeper, finding layers of charcoal, coconut fiber, and ship's putty, materials foreign to Nova Scotia. At 90 feet, their shovel struck something metallic. A chest? A gold bar? We'll never know. By morning, the pit had flooded again. The treasure, if it existed, remained out of reach. But this was only the beginning. Over the next century, the money pit would become a siren's call for dreamers, engineers, and tycoons, all lured by whispers of pirate gold, Shakespearean manuscripts, or even the Holy Grail. And with each new attempt, the island's body count grew. By the 1850s, Oak Island had become a graveyard for ambitions. The curse of Oak Island, a legend claiming 7 men must die before the treasure is revealed, seemed to tighten its grip with every shovel of dirt. But what began as a teenage adventure in 1795 had now escalated into an industrial-scale operation. Wealthy investors, engineers, and even presidents would soon learn that the island's secrets were guarded by more than just seawater. Our story takes a grim turn in 1849, when the Truro Company, a syndicate of Nova Scotia businessmen, arrived with a bold plan: to drill through the flood tunnels. Using a primitive auger, they bored into the pit, extracting fragments of oak, coconut fiber, and, astonishingly, a tiny scrap of parchment with handwritten letters. To the Truro team, this was proof. Someone had buried something valuable, and that someone had gone to extraordinary lengths to protect it. But Oak Island fought back. When the team attempted to dig a parallel shaft to bypass the flooding, seawater erupted anew. Engineers realized the pit was no mere hole. It was a machine. A network of artificial channels, possibly linked to the ocean, designed to trigger catastrophic flooding the moment treasure hunters breached its core. One worker wrote in his diary, "It is as if the earth itself conspires against us." Then came the first death. In 1861, the Oak Island Association, a new syndicate, brought in a coal-powered pump to drain the pit. For weeks, it chugged relentlessly, sputtering brown water into the bay. But on a foggy October morning, the pump's boiler exploded, killing a laborer instantly and maiming two others. Newspapers dubbed it the island's first blood sacrifice. Undeterred, the hunt grew more sophisticated and more desperate. In 1893, mining engineer Frederick Blair teamed up with a Harvard professor to map the tunnels using dynamite. The explosions revealed a labyrinth of wooden structures and iron plates, but no treasure. Blair later confessed, "We are not battling nature, we are battling genius." The turn of the century brought a new kind of hunter, the celebrity adventurer. In 1909, a young Franklin Delano Roosevelt joined a syndicate led by author and explorer Henry Bowdoin. Roosevelt, drawn by rumors of Shakespearean manuscripts hidden by Sir Francis Bacon, invested heavily in the operation. But after months of fruitless digging, Bowdoin published a scathing report. The Oak Island fraud is finally dead. Roosevelt quietly sold his shares. Yet privately, he remained obsessed, returning to the island twice in the 1930s during his presidency. Meanwhile, the theories spiraled into myth. A retired British naval officer claimed the pit held the crown jewels of France, smuggled out during the Revolution. Others argued it was a Viking time capsule or a Mayan outpost. But the most enduring legend tied the treasure to the Knights Templar. In 1937, author Harold Wilkins published Captain Kidd and His Skeleton Island, linking Oak Island to Templar maps of Nova Scotia. Wilkins wrote, "The pit is a holy vault, built to shield the Grail from heretics." But for all the speculation, the island's body count kept rising. In 1897, Maynard Kaiser, a driller, tumbled into the pit and drowned. In 1965, 4 men, including Robert Restall, a former circus performer turned treasure hunter, succumbed to swamp gas in a poorly ventilated shaft. Restall's son, who watched his father die, later said, "The island doesn't give up its secrets, it takes them." Then came the 1970s, a decade of high-tech hubris. Daniel Blankenship, a Florida businessman, spent millions building a 235-foot steel caisson to penetrate the pit. Using X-ray technology, his team detected a metal-rich chamber at 180 feet. But when divers descended into the murk, they found only rotting wood and a single rusted axe head. Blankenship, undaunted, told reporters, "The treasure is real, but it's not for this generation." By the 1990s, geologists entered the fray. Core samples revealed traces of gold, silver, and platinum in the soil, metals absent from Nova Scotia's geology. Dr. Stephen Aitken, a leading geochemist, noted, "These elements didn't come from bedrock. They were placed there." Yet skeptics countered, contamination from centuries of tools, coins, and even lost buttons could explain the readings. The curse, however, transcended science. Locals whispered of ghostly figures in colonial garb wandering the woods. In 2006, a crew from the History Channel captured an eerie thermal image of a human-like shape near the pit. Paranormal investigator Ronnie LeBlanc argued, "The island is a liminal space, the dead guard the treasure." But what is the treasure? For some, it's literal, chests of gold, jewels, or religious relics. For others, it's symbolic, the human thirst for answers in an unsolvable world. As treasure hunter David Tobias mused in 1983, "Maybe the real treasure is the hole itself. It's a mirror, and when we look into it, we see what we're made of." Yet Oak Island's greatest mystery may be its power to endure. Across 2 centuries, it has devoured fortunes, lives, and reputations. And still, we dig, By the 21st century, Oak Island had become more than a treasure hunt. It was a cultural phenomenon. Yet for all the advances in technology, the money pit clung to its secrets with the same tenacity that drowned the dreams of 19th century adventurers. The Lagina brothers, Rick and Marty, epitomized this new era. Two men armed with satellites and sonar, yet still at the mercy of the island's ancient riddles. Their journey began in 2006, when Rick, a retired postal worker, convinced his engineer brother Marty to buy a majority stake in Oak Island Tours. Rick's obsession started in 1965, when he read about the Restall family tragedy in Reader's Digest. "I knew I had to go there," he later said, "even if it meant mortgaging my house." In 2014, their quest became the backbone of The Curse of Oak Island, a series that blended archaeology, engineering, and raw human drama. Early episodes focused on the so-called Nolan's Cross, a series of boulders arranged in a crucifixion pattern, discovered by surveyor Fred Nolan in the 1980s. To believers, this was proof of Templar involvement. The cross pointed to the money pit, and its arms aligned with medieval star charts. But the show's first major breakthrough came in Season 2. Using a caisson drill, the team extracted a 17th century Spanish copper coin from 160 feet below ground, a relic that predated British settlement in Nova Scotia. Then, in 2016, a diver recovered a hand-wrought iron spike from the swamp. Metallurgists dated it to the 1200s, a time when only Vikings or Templars could have reached North America. Skeptics dismissed these finds as red herrings. Dr. Lee Spence, a marine archaeologist, argued, "Coins and nails travel. They could have been dropped by fishermen or washed ashore." But in 2019, carbon dating of wooden shafts in the original pit revealed something extraordinary. The oak used in the flood tunnels was cut down between 1500 and 1660. "This wasn't a 19th century hoax," said Dr. Ian Spooner, an environmental scientist on the show. "This system was built centuries ago by someone with immense resources." Then came the discoveries that reignited global intrigue. In 2020, metal detectorist Gary Drayton unearthed a lead cross near the shore. Art historians identified its style as 13th century European, consistent with Templar pilgrimages to Jerusalem. Rick Lagina, holding the cross, murmured, "This changes everything." But Oak Island's greatest tease arrived in 2021. Using ground-penetrating radar, the team detected a man-made wooden structure 100 feet beneath the pit. The description matched an 1850s account of a treasure vault filled with chests, seen through a borehole before flooding destroyed the shaft. Dr. Aaron Taylor, a geophysicist, cautioned, "It could be a natural formation, but the symmetry, it's uncanny." The show's critics, however, grew louder. Dr. Joe Zarzinski, an underwater archaeologist, noted, "After $15 million spent and 10 seasons filmed, they've found no treasure, just fragments." Even former crew members voiced doubts. In a 2022 podcast, a dismissed contractor claimed producers staged cliffhangers by planting artifacts. The Laginas denied it, but the whispers lingered. Beyond the TV spectacle, academic researchers began probing Oak Island's past. In 2017, historian Joy Steele proposed a radical theory. The pit was a tar kiln built by Spanish sailors in the 1500s to repair ships. Tar, a valuable naval resource, explained the coconut fiber used for insulation and frequent flooding to extinguish fires. "The treasure was never gold," Steele said. "It was industry." Yet another camp pointed to the island's indigenous roots. Mi'kmaq oral histories tell of stone men who built tunnels long before Europeans arrived. In 2020, archaeologist Laird Niven uncovered a Mi'kmaq artifact, a ceremonial stone blade, near the pit. Could early European explorers have collaborated with indigenous engineers? Or had the Mi'kmaq witnessed and recorded ancient construction? Theories multiplied like shadows at dusk. Author Zena Halpern claimed the pit was tied to a 12th century map from the Knights Templars' French headquarters, showing Oak Island as Île d'Étrange, Island of Mystery. Others linked it to Captain Kidd's lost treasure, citing a 1699 letter where Kidd cryptically wrote, "That which is buried shall drown in the earth's tears." But for every tantalizing clue, Oak Island retaliated with a setback. In 2018, a winter storm collapsed the infamous 10X shaft, a 180-foot borehole dug in 1971. The collapse buried what some believed was a ghostly face glimpsed on camera decades earlier. Then, in 2023, the Lagina's main drill rig broke down in the pit's dense bedrock. Marty quipped, "The island's saying, 'Not yet, boys.'" Amid the chaos, a forensic psychologist, Dr. Emily Warren, studied the treasure-hunting phenomenon. "Oak Island is a Rorschach test," she said. "Optimists see proof of hidden riches. Cynics see a metaphor for futility, but both are compelled to keep looking." The most haunting question, though, came from the pit itself. Why? Why would anyone engineer such an elaborate vault? If it held pirate gold, why not retrieve it? If it stored Templar relics, why leave them to rot? Author Randall Sullivan, in his book The Curse of Oak Island, proposed a chilling answer. The treasure was never meant to be found. It was a tomb or a trap. By 2023, the Laginas shifted tactics. Instead of chasing the pit, they explored Smith's Cove, a beach where artificial stone pathways and a mysterious U-shaped structure suggested a shipyard. There, they uncovered a 500-year-old parchment fragment, the second in Oak Island's history, and a human rib bone dating to the 1600s. Yet the money pit's core remains untouched, its depths still guarded by salt water and time. As the Laginas near retirement, Marty admits, "We may not solve this, but maybe the next generation will. Or maybe not. Because Oak Island's true curse isn't death or debt, it's hope. The unshakable belief that answers lie just one shovel strike away. And as long as that hope survives, the hunt will never end." And so we're left with a mystery that has outlived centuries, a riddle carved into the very soil of Oak Island. Is it a treasure vault? A tomb? A colossal practical joke played by history itself? The answer depends on who you ask. Let's revisit the clues. A 500-year-old lead cross buried near the shore. Fragments of parchment, hidden 150 feet below ground. Human bones dating to the 1600s. Flood tunnels so ingeniously designed, they've baffled modern engineers. And that cursed stone slab, etched with symbols no one can fully decipher. Taken alone, these artifacts are curiosities, but together, they form a mosaic of intentionality. Someone, somewhere, went to unimaginable lengths to bury or protect something on this lonely island. But who? Let's weigh the contenders. The pirates, Captain Kidd, Blackbeard, Henry Morgan, all rogues who allegedly hid plundered gold. But pirates were pragmatists. Why build a vault requiring 200 years of engineering to unlock? The Knights Templar, fleeing persecution in 1307, could they have sailed to Nova Scotia with the Holy Grail or Ark of the Covenant? The Lead Cross and Nolan's Cross formation suggest so. But why leave no definitive markers? The British Crown. During the American Revolution, rumors swirled that the British hid the crown jewels in Nova Scotia to keep them from rebels. Yet no royal documents mention Oak Island. The Spanish. Joy Steele's tar kiln theory explains the coconut fiber and flooding, but not the human remains or gold traces. The Mi'kmaq. Indigenous oral histories speak of ancient builders. Could early European explorers have collaborated with them? Or did the Mi'kmaq witness outsiders constructing the pit? And then there's the darkest theory of all, the trap. What if the money pit was never meant to store treasure, but to lure the greedy? A 16th century morality play, designed to drown the arrogant in their own ambition. After all, the island's true toll isn't just lives lost. It's the families bankrupted, the marriages fractured, the sanity sacrificed. Yet hope persists. In 2023, researchers using AI analyzed the original 1800s drilling logs and detected a density anomaly 190 feet down, an object unlike the surrounding rock. Is it a chest, a religious relic, or just another geological quirk? This is where you come in. Because Oak Island isn't just a puzzle for historians or engineers. It's a mirror held up to all of us. What would you risk to solve history's greatest mystery? Would you mortgage your home, like Rick Lagina? Spend decades in a muddy pit, like Daniel Blankenship? Or dismiss it all as a folktale, like skeptic Joe Nickel? Let's open the floor. If you believe the treasure is real, what's buried there? Pirate gold, Templar relics, or something stranger? A lost invention, a forgotten language, or proof of pre-Columbian contact? If you think it's a hoax, who orchestrated it? The 1795 boys seeking fame? 19th century syndicates hungry for investor cash? Or a modern TV show spinning ratings gold? If you're undecided, what piece of evidence would tip the scales for you? A chest hauled from the pit? A dated manuscript explaining its purpose? Or is the mystery itself the reward? Share your theories in the comments. Debate respectfully. Passion is welcome. But remember, Oak Island has claimed enough victims. Let's keep the conversation alive without casualties. And if you're hungry for more enigmas, hit subscribe, because the Oak Island saga is just one thread in history's tangled web. Coming up next, the Beale ciphers. 3 coded messages that allegedly reveal the location of $63 million in buried Civil War gold. Will modern codebreakers finally crack them? The Lost Dutchman's Mine, a desert labyrinth of Apache curses, murdered prospectors, and a motherlode of gold. What secrets lie in Arizona's Superstition Mountains? The Voynich Manuscript, a 600-year-old book written in an unreadable language, filled with plants that don't exist. Is it a medical text, an alien dictionary, or an elaborate forgery? Before you go, a final thought. In 1967, treasure hunter Robert Dunfield, after bulldozing half the island, said, "Oak Island doesn't give up its secrets. It teaches us how to question." So keep questioning, keep wondering, and remember, the greatest treasures aren't always gold. Sometimes they're the stories we pass down, the mysteries that bind generations, and the thrill of the hunt itself. Until next time, this is Geo Aegis from Timeless History Vault. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and as always, keep digging.